Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. There we go. Hopefully that's better. If you're watching on YouTube, give me a thumbs up and tell me if you can hear me okay. I forgot to mute myself on my computer. Okay. So, let me know if you can hear me okay. I am flying solo today. Melissa, I kind of sprung this on her last minute. She didn't realize we were going live. So, she's got a life apparently. So let me know if you can hear me okay. I am going to try and pop in the links at the beginning to some of the patterns I'm going to talk about. That way, I don't have to do it. Hi, Sherry. I don't have to do it or expect anybody else to do it once I get up and going. So give me just a minute. I'm gonna paste a couple patterns into the comments. But as you're coming on, tell me hi. Tell me how your holidays were. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. If you celebrate Hanukkah, Happy Hanukkah. I don't know what other Oriana, good. Hi. This is not my multitasking is not my strong suit. So I'm trying to just pop at least the three patterns I know I'm going to talk about tonight in the comments. So they're there. Okay. Hi, Patty. Here we go. Sherry, Oriana, Linda, Patty, Cindy, Nicole, Cheryl. Yes. Happy New Year. Okay. I think we're good. I think I've got all three patterns at least posted on there. So that's something. Anyways, Joyce, swatching for the thistle yoke, a sweater. It started modified pitter pat scarf. Excellent. Very good. As I said in the beginning, I'm flying solo today, and Melissa thought that we weren't doing a live, so she has a life and has other plans, which is awesome for her. So I am on my own, but you guys know it's kind of a crapshoot anyways, what you get with me. So I'm here and I'm chatting with everybody. So Joyce said what she's working on. Tell me, everybody else, tell me how was your Christmas? How did gift giving go over if you were one who gifted to people, how did they like it? If you were one that received gifts from people, what did you get? I got a beautiful hand knit scarf for my mom that I forgot to bring with me to show off. So I'll have to show that next time. Hi, Shar. Happy New Year. All right, so I will go ahead and get started because it's a little after 7. It took me a minute. Patty, quiet Christmas, got to knit a lot. Excellent. I don't think that's a bad thing. That sounds like a pretty decent thing to me. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I will set my knitting down as soon as I get to the end of my row. Welcome to Monday Motivation. Today is December 30th. Man, I'm hoping the lights don't go off on me. I'm at the opposite end of the store. But I got up right before I started and ran across the room to set off the motion activator thing. So hopefully it stays on for a while. Yeah, it's New Year's Eve. So if you have plans, I hope you are doing something fun, or if maybe you're just going to knit for New Year's, that's okay too. So my name is Kristen. I'm the owner of the Little Yarn Shop located in Saginaw, Michigan, inside the SVRC Marketplace. We are here. Normal hours are Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. This week we are closed New Year's Day, so we are open Thursday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. The marketplace as a whole is normally open Wednesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you are the type that does any sort of like juice cleanse, you might want to check out Bloom from Within. I almost said Blending Bowl. They were here way back when we first opened. 6 years ago, almost 7 years ago. Bloom from Within, they do the acai bowls here, but they also do fresh pressed juices. They are offering juice cleanse packages. They posted about it yesterday and today on their social media. So if that's something that you like to do, they've got a 1, 2, and 3 day juice cleanse option, which is kind of maybe a good way to start the new year, nice and fresh and clean. I thought about it, but I didn't get as far as doing anything about it, but I wanted to mention it to everybody. Monday nights, of course, while I'm in here doing lives, Deb is up in the front lobby for drop-in knitting help from 6:30 to 8:30. Deb and Ashley are usually here. It's $10 for 2 hours to sit and get some help, some one-on-one help if you need it. Leslie, Happy New Year. Leslie, I've got a few things tucked away for you. We did just receive Dreaming Colors January pop-up club color. It is beautiful. There are a few left on the table, but I'm not actively talking about them yet because it's not New Year's yet. It's not January. So if you pre-ordered your pop-up club color, though, it is tucked away safely for you. You're here, but Facebook is being difficult. Oh, Melissa normally does this and I don't really know how to do it, but I can at least say it. If you're having problems with Facebook, you can join us on YouTube. I am live on YouTube. I can't watch comments both places, but I can at least get the word out to you both places on YouTube and on Facebook. Leslie, excellent. Would love to see you. Okay, so let's talk about knitting. I posted pictures, but now you can see it actually in full. I am wearing my 3-season pullover. This pattern is by Wool & Pine. The yarn I used is Cascade Cantata, which is why I'm sitting over here because it's right here by me. Cascade Cantata is 70% cotton, 30% superwash merino wool. It's kind of a heavy worsted / Aran weight yarn, 218 yards in 100 grams, but it's $11 a skein. Pam, thank you. I'm very, very happy with it. This pattern takes anywhere from 6 to 9 skeins, although I did have to go into a little bit more than what I thought for mine. I was going to double check the yardage on it and I forgot to do that, but I think I thought I needed 5 skeins and I had to go into a 6th one. My gauge is on. If you remember, this is how it started. This is how it all started with this beautiful big swatch, which was awesome. We're going to talk a lot about swatches tonight, but this swatch taught me so much beyond just making sure that I was using the right needle, but got to practice all the different cables, the stitch patterns, really get a good idea for how they worked. So I wasn't practicing on my actual sweater when I started, but the cantata is here. We've got a lot of colors of it in stock. They come 10 in a bag, which is handy. So we have a sweater's quantity of most colors. This green is full. So it is this tube with like the fiber blown into it, I guess you would say, but it gives such great stitch definition. I'm just over the moon with how this turned out. So I don't have any of my information with me in terms of what size I did, but it's an oversized, there's no waist shaping or anything, just a boxy straight sweater. You do knit it flat and seam the sides, which I did. I followed the instructions the way it says. I've got it tucked in, but it's a decent length. It has not been blocked yet. So some of this will kind of relax out a little bit once it's been blocked, but the front and the back are not the same. So you've got the 2 cables down the front, 1 big cable down the back, and then kind of a different fun cable down the sleeve. I love it. I absolutely am in love with the sweater. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I was a little bit concerned. Quite a few of the projects had a very wide and loose neckline, but I didn't do anything different than what the pattern said for picking up stitches for the neckline or anything. And I'm really, really happy with how it looks. Oriana, thank you. Hi, Jill. It's just, um, when I wore it a week ago Sunday, when V and I went for coffee, I had run into, I don't know, the auto parts store for something, and one of the guys said, that sweater doesn't look warm enough. It's got all those holes in it. And I was like, oh, guy, you have no idea. It's warm, it's comfy, it's not picky. It really just, I can't say enough great things about the combo. The pattern was written for this yarn, and sometimes that does make a difference. I think this pattern would be beautiful in anything. This is the Three Seasons pullover. As a reminder, I did post, if you scroll back to the earliest comments, I did post links to the patterns I'm going to talk about, at least the three I know for sure I'm going to talk about. Facebook is acting up. I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that I'm in a different place than I usually am. I was, I was a little bit having, technical difficulties with my phone earlier, and my phone is what I use for Facebook. So hopefully it behaves itself. I don't know what it's always a struggle around here. So, I am on YouTube also, and it's showing me that I'm still connected. So if for some reason you miss some things, these are always recorded and they're posted after. So you can always go back and look at them after the fact. Facebook's great on my end. Good. Okay. Hopefully it's just sporadic problems, that it's not a big issue. So I finished my 3-season pullover. I also finished my Trax cowl. This poor cowl got put by the wayside, and it hardly needed anything to be finished. So the pattern for the Trax cowl looks like this. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. It's just a 2-page front and back. My only kind of little frustration with it is that it doesn't really tell you how long to knit the piece, because it's done flat. It's knit flat and then seamed. So you end up folding the collar and seaming this little bit here. And it just says, repeat until the piece is as long as desired. I didn't realize how close I was. Sometimes need to go out and come back. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes that's true too. Pam says sometimes you need to go out of Facebook and come back. I did not realize I was as close to finished as I was with this. So the yarn I used is Malabrigo Chunky. So this is my cast on edge. And it's just this cute little 1x1 cable, 1/1 cable that does this zigzag back and forth. And I had gotten as far as joining the last ball of yarn, which you can see is very light, but that little bit, that's what I had left to do. Basically 1.5 repeats. I should have blended my yarns. I didn't, but you can't really tell when you wear it. One of the things I love about this is she has you do a 3-needle bind off. I did put notes in the shop's Ravelry page for how long I made the piece before I bound it off. But look at how beautiful this is. It's absolutely gorgeous. Because I only used this much of the 3rd skein, you could very easily make it bigger and more of a statement piece. I think if you kept going, you could make it even more of like a shoulder warmer versus just a cowl. But it's absolutely lovely. It takes 2 to 3 skeins of a chunky yarn or bulky yarn. So what I used was Malabrigo Chunky, which is confusing because it's a bulky yarn. And if you look at their labels, it does actually say that. Malabrigo Chunky, but down here it says bulky. I know it's hard to see with the glare on here, but so I would say 3 skeins of Malabrigo Chunky would get you what you need, and it's just such a statement piece. It would be beautiful in just a cream color. I love it in this green. Of course, as soon as I got this out and was working on it, the green disappeared, but we do have plenty of colors to choose from. This Indicita is one of my favorite colors from Malabrigo. This would be beautiful too, because it's such a simple stitch texture. You could get away with a variegated yarn. So we've got Indicita, and under the sea is this beautiful blues and grays. That would be gorgeous too. This with my gray coat. Oh, look how pretty that would be with gray. All right, this layered like this in here is a bit much though, so I need to take it off. But we've got blue surf, which is this beautiful medium blue. We've got Wales Road, which is, of course, one of Malabrigo's most popular colors in all of their bases. YouTube is making it look really, really blue, but it's definitely more purpley blue. On the purple end of things, we've got a single lot purpley color. We've got periwinkle. We've got Tortuga, which is, it's like a, I would almost say it's like a squid ink color, like that, or darker than an eggplant, but close to an eggplant color. Lotus flower, cactus flower. I didn't even read my own signs. And then we did get this new olive green. That would be beautiful in this as well. So I've got a couple other colors in the Malabrigo Chunky that would work well, but these are the ones for sure I grabbed that I know that we've got 3 skeins of enough to do this cowl. But the Trax cowl is a fun one. It's a quick knit. If you've done any patterns that have the 1x1 cable where you're either doing a left twist or a right twist, the way they suggest that you do it is really handy and makes things go quicker. You don't need a cable needle for a 1x1 cable, especially for this one, because they walk you through how to do it in a little bit easier way. So I finished some things. I am working on my deep winter coat, which is attached to a ball of yarn right now. But as a refresher, this is the deep winter coat. It might look a little familiar. It's the same designer. Wool and Pine are the same designer as, I don't know why I just got a thumbs down. That was weird. Must have been looking at my hands. Same designer as the one I'm wearing. So this one is more of like a cardigan coat style. And this is where we're going to talk about gauge, because I did not swatch for this one. I foolishly went with my usual, oh, it calls for a 10.5. I'll just knit it on a 10 and see how it goes. And I did get its top down. I got past the underarm and tried it on and thought it felt snug, but thought it was fine. And then I didn't check gauge again. So I'm learning my lesson, just like everybody else does. Swatching makes a huge difference. So this is the deep winter coat. So that's the front. I haven't picked up yet for the collars. That's the back, this beautiful, beautiful cable. I wanted it to be more like a coat or a jacket, and it's going to be more like for my kid. So the yarn I used for this one, it calls for 2 strands of worsted held together, or chunky yarn. So the yarn I used, obviously not this color, but is the Plymouth Hardy Homestead Tweed, which is a chunky yarn. 12 stitches over 4 inches is what it calls for. And that's what the pattern calls for. So one would think this would be a really good substitute. And it would be a really good substitute. What is the name of the lime green cowl you have on? Linda, I don't know why you can't hear me. That's weird. The cowl is called Trax. Sorry, Melissa's not on with me tonight, so I have to answer all my own questions. If you scroll to the beginning, and you may do it, you may be able to do it while I'm live. You may have to wait until afterwards, but I did post at the beginning before I started talking. I posted links to all of the patterns. It's a free pattern on Ravelry called Tracks, and it takes 300 yards of a bulky weight yarn. So for Malabrigo Chunky, which is what we use, we took 3 skeins, and each of these are 109 yards a piece. 104 yards a piece. And ours are $15. So a $45 cowl with a big statement piece is a pretty cool thing. So the Hardy Homestead Tweed is a really cool yarn. I have a cabled sweater in this color, and so I thought, wouldn't it be great if I had one kind of in the gray tweed that would be a good go-to just throw on piece. However, I mean, look at the sleeve. The sleeve is tiny, but it's got this gorgeous cable that I spent, you know, the weekend knitting. And I did. So up until you get to the point where you're knitting the sleeve in the round, everything on the sweater is done flat. So knitting back and forth, typically you get a looser gauge than when you're knitting in the round. I did find with my first sleeve, I got a couple inches past knitting in the round and I could tell that my gauges changed. So I dropped back and I was wrong, you guys. Hang on. Be right back. All right. Figure while I'm off camera, I can take the sweater off too. Then I can show you. Um, so gauge changed. I did go up a needle size. I've got one sleeve done. The second one is on the needle. Linda, let me figure that out. If you can call us on Thursday or message the shop, we can get that worked out for you. Shipping, I think is going to be somewhere between 8 and 10 for 3 skeins. So here's my sleeve, my snug coat sleeve. And the snug, my yarns are getting all tangled up under the table. The snug sweater. So I tried it on as I got to this point and it seemed fine. It seemed fine across the shoulders. However, this is not going to be much of a like layering coat for me. But I will still show it off. It's still beautiful. It's just not going to be for me. It's going to be for my kiddo instead, which is fine. She will wear it. She will love it. I just am bummed that I won't have it for myself. So gauge, let's talk gauge. I did not check my gauge until this afternoon. And in this one has stockinette sections, so it tells you your gauge in stockinette, which would be really easy to do, to swatch and to know if you were going to get gauge or not get gauge, if you had to change your needle size. The gauge the pattern calls for is 12 stitches over 4 inches. My gauge was 14 stitches, 14 and a half stitches over 4 inches. And here's where math comes into play. So you look at that and you think, well, that's over 4 inches. That's just two stitches difference. How much can that really be? So I did a little quick math. If I was knitting the 40-inch bust sweater, for example, at 12 stitches over 4 inches, I would cast on about 120 stitches to get that 40-inch circumference. if my gauge is 14 stitches over 4 inches, those 120 stitches would give me a 34-inch bust. So that's a 6-inch difference just because of those 2 stitches per 4 inches. So when you think about that, that's substantial. It's not nothing. It's worth swatching. Deb and Karen and I went to lunch today and we spent a lot of time talking about swatching. I would be tempted to rip this sweater out and reknit it to fit me, but I would be more likely to just knit another one. I would be like, well, honestly, if I rip this out, I probably wouldn't knit it again because I don't like knitting things more than once very frequently. So I am going to finish this. It is going to be for somebody else. It'll be in the shop as a sample for a little while, but swatching makes such a big difference. Deb has said, and she said it again today, she will swatch even if it's with the same yarn in a different color. She will swatch if she's used the yarn before and she's used the needle before, because our gauge changes. If you have a bad day, your gauge is going to change, which don't swatch on a bad day. Let's just say that if you're going to knit a swatch in one day, don't knit it on a day when you're super stressed, because that's not going to be a typical gauge for you unless you are always super stressed. And then that's more of your baseline. But your stress level does change your gauge, and the time in your life changes your gauge, and your experience level, your comfort level. We always advocate for a big swatch, because once you get a little bit going, you get more relaxed and your gauge will change. This pattern does recommend, when you switch to knitting in the round for the sleeve, to double check your gauge. And yeah, so I'm kind of bummed, but I am going to finish it. It didn't take long. It's on big needles. It's on 10.5. So the second sleeve is just going to take me a couple days to do. Then I'll have the collar, then it will be done. I did a sewn bind off on the bottom, and you can see it. I really love how a sewn bind off looks. It gives you that, like a commercial knit where it's rounded. You don't really see where the stitches stop, versus on the sleeve, I did just a traditional bind off in pattern. So knit one, pass it over, purl one, pass it over, bind off. And you can see that it looks like a knit edge that goes all the way around. I may redo the bind off on this. I did that only because I wanted to be done with the sleeve and have it off the needles, but the yarn's still attached, so there's enough there to do something with. I like the sewn bind off too. I did it on I did it on everything but this. The neckline, the sleeves. So see how you can see it's almost like rounded. And the body, I just did a regular bind off, because that's a lot of stitches. So swatch, 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 swatch. You get to learn about your yarn. You get to learn about your pattern. If the pattern has any different stitches in it, it's a great way to play around with that, to really get comfortable with it. If you're doing color work, swatch with your colors so you can see if there's a good contrast. Almost every smartphone now has the capability, when you open your camera app, to change to a mono or black and white image. If you do that, it will show you, if you are working with two contrasting yarns, if there is actual contrast, because you can get two yarns that look to your eye very different. I'm kind of looking to see what I could grab here that would be a good example of that. But that the tone is just going to be, no, I don't have good, I can't grab anything that's speaking to me right now, but you could have two colors that seem very different when you're looking at them, like a pink and a blue, but when you swatch, it may get a little distorted or diluted. So taking a black and white picture helps with that too. Cheryl says, block your swatch. Yes. Block your swatch. Don't aggressively block it. I tend to soak my swatches, get them really wet, let them sit for a while, and then just lay them, kind of just pat it out. I don't pin my swatches because you're not going to pin your sweater. Ideally, you want to treat your swatch. You want to wash your swatch and treat your swatch the way you're going to wash and treat whatever it is you're swatching for. So if you're going to knit a sweater and it's going to be hand knit and lay flat to dry, then that's what you're going to do with your swatch. I have seen recommendations of master knitters saying take your swatch after you've blocked it and put it in your coat pocket, put it in your pants pocket, walk around with it for a couple days, let it get agitated, because your knitting will change as it's on your body. If it's something that you're wearing, the heat of your body will change your stitches. The what do I want to say? Agitation of just having it with you will change your swatch a little bit. So you want to make sure that you're happy with your finished product. Otherwise, you're going to be, you know, in a similar boat to me where you're bummed that you've put a lot of work and time into a sweater that isn't going to fit you the way you want. So, I still just really love it. It's going to be gorgeous. I may try to block the heck out of it and see how much I can get out of it, but it's wool. And so wool has memory and it will eventually probably go back to close to where it is. Linda, I was taught in art class, they two colors on a copy and make it black and white. Yes. Essentially, that's what I'm saying with doing it with your phone, is to do the same thing where you could look at two colors and think there's enough contrast in them, but like these two, although that's pretty bright. The one's kind of being blown out by the light, but you can look at colors and think there's going to be enough contrast, but if the tone of them is similar, you're not going to be able to really tell. Like somebody might think that these two are enough of a contrast where you could do color work with something like that, but you're really not going to see much of a difference. If you took a black and white photo, they would be pretty similar in tone. So things to keep in mind, definitely swatching is your friend, which is the other thing that I'm working on. I just have to untangle it from last time I was doing my live a couple weeks ago. Ashley came in the shop to talk to me about something, and she saw my whole setup thing that I had going on, and she she was laughing about getting a behind the scenes picture. It's kind of a hot mess what's going on behind the camera, around my feet, under my feet, next to me is kind of a mess. But this Hardy Homestead tweed is a great yarn. I I'm loving tweeds right now. You'll see in a little bit what I'm swatching. So I mentioned last time about these Make It Tweed yarns. So this is one of them, the new creative Rico Creative Make It Tweed, and it's this real thin strand that you can hold with another yarn, with a solid yarn, to give it a tweedy look. So I have decided to knit up some swatches. And right now I'm just doing stockinette. I may change that at some point, but I started my swatch with just some Heritage fingering. This is limestone. It was something I had left over from something else, clearly, or extra of something, but just a neutral fingering weight, Heritage. And so with my swatch, I started with just that on its own. I'm on size 5 needles, so I did little eyelets, 5 little eyelets, so I know down the road I'm on size 5 needles. And then I added in my tweed. So my first little part of the swatch is these two yarns together. And it gets this fun little tweedy texture to it. I think it looks really cool. This one happens to be kind of pinks and turquoises, and then there's a little bit of navy and a little bit of kind of a forest green in there. So you see little blips of that. I also was curious to see if it would change my gauge, my stitch gauge between just having the fingering weight on its own or having it with the tweed. Because the tweed is, it's a cotton. Let's see. Nope. Acrylic viscose polyamide. So it's a acrylic poly yarn. So there's not a lot of stretch to it. Kind of feels like a cotton. Um, so that was my first little swatch. And then I switched to what little left I had of this natural, well, I think it's the snow color of Heritage versus the limestone. So it's a brighter yarn. Same tweed color, just to see how it would look with a white yarn versus the limestone color. And you get to see those tweedy bits a little bit more. Next, I'm going to go to kind of a tan, but I'm just playing around. It doesn't take much yarn to do. I'm learning about what the stitches look like. I may at one point, there's a pattern called the Twisted Skein Swatch. And it's a free pattern on Ravelry. And it's written by the people at the Twisted Skein, which is a yarn store. And it's a great way to learn about yarns because their swatch I've used for our custom yarns before, just to have a swatch on hand. It's got ribbing, it's got seed stitch, cables, lace. So it's a great way to swatch and learn what your yarn's going to look like. Or if you have a really busy yarn and you're not sure if a pattern is going to show up, it's a great swatch to do. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that with this right now. I'm just kind of playing around with different main colors held with the tweed to see what it looks like. And I think it's coming along fun so far. I'm going to do a tan, and then I may go to some darker colors with it as well. I'm just going through my stash, my yarn stash in the back, and seeing what I have and seeing what it looks like. But I think I'm speaking for myself, and I'm speaking for a lot of us when I say we need to get better at embracing swatching as part of the process. Get excited about starting your project, but that start of the project is your swatch. Karen is really good about telling people who say, I can't start a new project until I finish this one. Your swatch doesn't count as a new project in that sense. So you can swatch before you start, before you finish a project, because it's not really starting your new project, but it's learning about your yarn and it's taking a little break from things. So just swatch, learn. What else did I want to say about that? Oh, I posted a little reel the other day that Victoria sent me about gifting swatches, which I thought was kind of neat. I realized after the fact we were chatting about it here, I think the intent was to just gift a random swatch, not necessarily one for a specific pattern, because the idea was you gift a swatch instead of gifting a finished item to somebody. And the swatch comes with a promise that at some point in the future, the two of you together will pick out yarn and a pattern for something that that person would enjoy. So you're gifting them the potential of a future handmade item from you. That way, you know it's something that they're going to like, but they still have something to open. It's a good use for your swatches. I was originally thinking you were swatching for a project and then they would help pick out yarn, but because the one that they show is this beautiful color work swatch. It's a great use for your swatches if you don't want to keep them and use them for other things. Let's see. I've been talking about a lot of stuff. So we talked about swatches and swatches and swatches. I talked about we are closed on Wednesday for New Year's Day. As a reminder, if you got fiber funds, if you got a gift certificate, open it, make sure that there are or are not fiber funds in there. If you do have fiber funds, those need to be used in January. So starting Thursday, you can use those in the store or online. And they're only good for the month of January. So make sure you get in and get those used before they expire. And what else? Oh, supporting local businesses. So the day that Victoria and I went and got our Christmas tree, I don't think I talked about Poor Boys. If I did, I don't remember. One of our customers recommended Poor Boys to me. I had seen it driving by, but we stopped out there. They're out on Gratiot. Even if I have talked about it, it's a really cool place. We gifted some things this weekend that were from there. And the gifts were very well received, which is a statement for the store also. So they're out on Gratiot by Coco Loco. They're on the south side of the street, the same side as Coco Loco, in Shields. They started as a licensed sign company. I think they said like 20 years ago. They've been in business a long time, creating and licensing signs, selling them around the country. But they are local, so they've opened this shop. They have a lot of seasonal, they rotate stuff out for the seasons, decor, but then they have a little room in the back that is a lot of handmade. I don't know if they're all locally made things, but they're definitely, there's like a Michigan candle company, but it's not regular wax candles. It's like the gel wax that has stones set in there, like Petoskey stones or like superior agate. Really cool things, handmade jewelry, lots of different stuff. By the time V and I got to that room, she was a little overwhelmed, so I didn't get to see too much of it, but still a really cool place. So it's called Poor Boys Sign Company, I think. But a really neat little place, worth checking out. Kind of has a feel like maybe like Rebel Magnolia, along those same lines of if you're looking for something unique, just not with the clothing aspect of things, but more the home decor aspect of things, some different and unique things out there. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned them. I think that's it. I think that's all on my notes today. So I survived. I survived without Melissa. As a reminder, most of the patterns I talk about, I did post at the beginning of the video in the early comments. So if you can't scroll back to the beginning and look while we're live, after the fact, you can go back and see those. And if there's anything I talked about that you want more info on, message us or give us a call Thursday through Saturday. We are here at the shop 10 to 7. And yeah, tomorrow is New Year's Eve. So I hope everybody has a safe and happy new year, and that we just keep moving forward and knowing that our yarn and our hooks and needles give us life, give us love, give us a purpose, allow us to express our creativity, and we're just going to keep doing that. So I hope you have a great week. If I don't see you here in the shop Thursday through Saturday, I will be back to our regular schedule again starting next Monday. So have a great week and be safe, enjoy, and we will see you all soon.